Yeah, when are you going to stop blighting the environment with this atrocity? My God, can't you see that it wants to die? Let it go.
A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away.
Feel, don't think.
Fear is my ally.
The Force will be with you.
We are encouraged to love. Be mindful of your thoughts.
I will not betray the Republic.
Hey, Your Worship, I'm only trying to help.
Scruffy-looking nerf herder.
I'm not afraid.
You must unlearn what you have learned.
So Collider had an article in an interview with Shawn Levy, and they talked to him about his Star Wars movie starring Ryan Gosling called Starfighter. And he basically said it wasn't a prequel or a sequel to any of the trilogies that we're worried about, the Skywalker saga. It's a standalone movie. And it's very interesting because the rumors of, there's going to be, sequel characters showing up and old Rey and everything like that have died. People no longer talk about it. And as Stacey Ballard said on Cameron's Patreon, who could have started those rumors? Well, we all know who could have. Kennedy, because she's still desperately trying to save the sequels, and it's not gonna work. Look, when you look at what's going on with Hollywood and Matt Bellamy's kind of attitude towards her, she's become the stuff of comedy legend, I think. So this is what it is. It's set in a timeline after things have happened. And it doesn't have anything to do, presumably, and the presumably is from Collider, because they're not going to say it doesn't have anything to do with the sequel trilogy. Presumably after the sequel trilogy. What they did, it looks like to me, is Jon Favreau and Shawn Levy and Dave Filoni worked out a thing where the time between Return of the Jedi and this moment is still going on. They still have to put it together, all right? Which it's called repairing a deep wound, removing a cancerous tumor, and making sure all the borderlines, the margins are saved, right? That's what they're doing. And when you look at it that way, and you look at the way they've been reporting it, or Collider reported it, and the way Levy was very vague about it, and the fact that the plot has been kept secret, more secret than, the Death Star. And this is going to be, and it's really interesting. It might actually be a better movie than Rogue Squadron, Patty Jenkins' movie. I don't know. But it's going to have different characters. And it's like the gauze over a wound. It's different than, it's not an all new non-sequel, non-prequel adventure. It's new characters, it's a new timeline. That could mean every, trilogy has its own timeline, or it has a timeline that's set apart from everything else. And it's a timeline that's going to be connected to something later, right? And it's really interesting to me watching this come about and all the stories around it. Now we've got Oscar Isaac saying, sure, I'd come back to Star Wars if they wanted me. That's a paycheck. Disney does not want him. Trust me, Disney does not want anything to do with him or the prequel or the sequels, right? They've grudgingly had to accept the prequels because the prequels are extremely popular with people. I mean, even people who didn't particularly like them, like me when they first came out, have liked them because they're stories. They're not a jumbled mess of woke propaganda. And I mean, that one of the reasons why the sequels didn't work is that it was woke propaganda and people can see through it. I mean, the American viewing audience, especially people who grew up in the 70s and 80s, can look right through to see the message if it's that thinly veiled. There's a story out, I just saw it, about the fact that Scooby-Doo, all the college kids in the van, were actually based on a type of weather underground group that caused a lot of mayhem. They all got arrested, blah, blah, blah. And their names were Fred, Velma, Daphne, and then the last kid was named Norval, but if you looked at him, he looked like Shaggy. Right? I mean, it was, that might have been based on that, but it didn't come off as communist propaganda. It was just fun to watch because people like scary stuff. That's how you do it if you're going to do it at all. Or you just take an interesting story like that and take the kids out of the element that they were in and put them in an element that we can all tolerate without getting really angry. This guy right here is a Star Wars fan. He's like any of us. He's my age. The ideas that George Lucas came out with and the things that he was able to do actually, for the most part, really inspired people to want to make movies too. And a lot of people came into Hollywood because of him. And if you notice, there's different, like, I would say cliques. Like there's the Rian Johnson clique who decided he hated George, probably because of the prequels, or he met George once and George told him to go away, right? And then there's the Shawn Levy's who kind of step back and look at it saying, I want to do this, and then do it, So the fact that this thing probably doesn't have anything to do with the sequels and won't touch on anything about the sequels, won't be connected, should hearten everybody who's a Star Wars fan, because A, you're not going to see Rey, you're not going to see Kylo Ren, you're not going to see Poe, Finn, or Rose Tico. You're going to just see a good fun movie playing in the Star Wars universe with the cool X-Wing fighters. And that's what you're going to see. And it's, I think, heartening because it's a step away from what hurt the franchise. It's a step away from what drove people away. We've got a male hero who's the mentor of a young teenage boy. And that is kind of the core message to me. That just tells me Kennedy had nothing to do with it. It tells me that I think this is going to be a safe bet, and that the less we know, the more we want to know. The less we know, the more we want to know. And but there's so much going on behind the scenes with this, and the messaging, and who did what, and why are they doing this, and everything. So I would say let's talk more.
In keeping with the trusty adage, starve a cold, disgust a fever.
Pardon me. I have to go poke out my mind's eye.
So here's something that'll make you laugh your ass off. These idiots went down to the Disney headquarters in New York City to try to get a rally going for the Hunt for Ben Solo movie to get it greenlit, and only 7 people showed up. You got that right, 7 people. This is the magnitude of the support this dumpster fire idea has. The funny thing is after the Rise of Skywalker, the Rise of Palpatine, was done, and it was out in theaters longer than it should have been, just so it could get over the $1 billion mark, so resting bitch face could save her job, and get another contract. Adam Driver should have known that they were going to say no. Steven Soderbergh should have known that they were going to say no, and they being Alan Bergman and Bob Iger. Okay, I mean, look at this. The one lady who thinks she's dressed up like Leia looks like a lesbian and a boomer lesbian. I mean, there's one idiot. It's probably a woman in the Kyle Ron thing because are you kidding me? Why would you want this? Oh, I forget. You want to be validated. And the only way you can be validated is not buy the merchandise when it's out there, not demand more merchandise and different merchandise, only go to the movie once, right? Because you probably can't afford to go more than once. And yell at people online tell you you're a fucking weirdo for shipping to begin with. I mean, the shallow thinking of people shipped back in the 70s, the word didn't exist. The word did not exist. Okay? It became something once the internet started big time, I think early in the 2000s, which is where it started infecting the culture, right? So that was a failure. That was a flop. And when you're looking around at who's to blame for all the rumors about, The Farce Awakens is going to be released for its 10th anniversary, blah, blah, blah. I don't think The Phantom Menace was ever released for 10th anniversary. Maybe I'm wrong. Somebody could correct me on that. Who was that? It's her. Right there, her. Her with the Botox in her forehead. Who is egging them on under the radar for the Hunt for Goober Solo movie? Her. Okay, this is what's going on. Now we've got Shawn Levy talking about Starfighter and subtly hinting that it's not in any of the prequel, sequel timeline. It's in its own space. And like I said previously, there's going to be a place where it's still empty that they have to go back and fix, which is Heir to the Empire is what is going to happen, because by the time Heir to the Empire shows up, it's going to be too late for The Farce Awakens, right? I mean, when they're done with it. I am looking at this going, this was very deliberate. And this was very, very deliberate, I think, on Levy's part and on Jon Favreau's part. Because Favreau's the one that actually is the one behind the movie. As far as I know, Jeff Snyder said Kennedy's a lame duck, that the person who's actually running the studio is running it now. And there you go, okay? And all she can do is try to get her imaginary fans, the tens of millions who love Rey and Kyle Ron, Reylos, to get jiggy with it, to try to force, Disney to spend money they don't have on movies they know won't make money. This is when you're dealing with a bunch of people who are deranged, and she is. I mean, she's, I wouldn't doubt she has a Xanax, prescription for every place she lives. When you've got that going on, and look, she knows what people are saying behind her back. She knows exactly what Matt Bellany meant when he said something about, I can't remember how he put it in his podcast, but if you guys listen to it, it was something like about Hollywood talking about her in a way that isn't flattering. So, you've got that going on. And she knows that. She has to. And the Shawn Levy thing was very interesting only because he was very quiet about it. He was very careful with it. I actually think Starfighter is going to be a good movie now. And, Ryan Gosling's not my favorite actor. I don't think he's that good looking, but he does get butts in seats, and Bob Iger can just tell the biggest Reylos. Adam Driver does not put people in the theaters. I mean, what was the last movie he was in? Megalopolis. That could have been a good movie, but Francis Ford Coppola, even in his dotage, is taking himself way too seriously. And when an artist and a creator take themselves too seriously, they start to fail, right? I mean, Steven Spielberg, could say, my bad with Meet the Fablemans. But there were good scenes in it, like the very end where the character that's actually him actually gets to have a meeting with the mighty immortal John Ford. All right? So, you've got that going against the movie. And really, the movie-going audience doesn't like Adam Driver. And I'm going to pause it to say, just to piss off sequel trilogy fans, because of that character. Because he was unfucking likable. You can't go from murdering your father to trying to be him in the last movie, thinking everyone's going to say, okay, he's fine. No, you don't. And the people that have the money, that buy the memorabilia, that buy all the collections, aren't going to buy your character. And Disney looked at the merchandise numbers. They've been repackaging Kyle Ron action figures at the parks with other more popular figures, like I've said, and I'll drive it into the ground, because he doesn't sell on his own. So, to the delusional Reylos, and to the disconnected from reality Kathleen Kennedy, why the fuck would you think this was a good movie? But then, why the fuck would you think The Acolyte was a good idea? Why are any of the things you thought were great for 5 seconds were good ideas? Okay? These are questions that need to be asked. Bob Iger can answer for why they threw away George's sequel trilogy plans. All right? Because that was the first mistake. The second mistake was running Michael Arndt off. Third mistake, hiring that freaking grifting Dumbo, J.J. Abrams. The third mistake for the first movie was Larry Kasdan. Then, I'm not even going to get into the last two movies, because it just got worse. All right? So, I want to talk about this, and feel free to laugh at the Reylos anytime you get a chance to. This is Steph saying, see you around the galaxy. Behave, be safe, and remember, no droids, no bounty hunters, no Reylos, no Kyle Ron fans, no sequel trilogy fans. At the cantina, they don't belong. Steph signing out. See you around the galaxy.